With the release of the recent Yu-Gi-Oh set Chaos Origins, we've had a reprieve and a change to the Genesys format. These will just give you a quick update as to what these cards are and the reasons why they've particularly been restricted as they are. So in here you've got the Battles of Legends Glorious Gallery, these cards that self-replace or gain other cards. This is just justification for them. Constellar Caster is a light attribute level 4 fairy type effect monster with 1700 attack and 600 defense. If this card is summoned, you can special summon one Constellar monster from your deck except Constellar Caster. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except light or dark monsters. You can only use this effect of Constellar Caster once per turn. A Constellar Exceeds monster that has this card as material gains this effect. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a spell card or effect, as a quick effect, you can detach 2 materials from a monster you control, and if you do, negate that effect, and if you do that, destroy that card. The Constellar archetype gained support recently, and that includes a turn skip card. So if this card is just summoned, so that can be any way, flip summon, special summon, normal summoned, whatever method you use, you're instantly able to get out another Constellar monster. So you can go into an instant Exceeds for a rank 4 play if you need to. And it also grants you the ability for your Exceeds monster to negate a spell or spell effect once, so long as it has the 2 materials that it needs to use this effect. So it's quite powerful. It does lock you into light or dark monsters being special summoned from the extra deck, but that's not a problem given that the Constellar monsters are either light attribute or dark attributes. It has gone from having a 0-point score to a 6-point score, so it's not deemed as too big of a threat. Otherwise it would have received one of those like 30 points or 40 points to make it that restrictive. It's just something that they've noticed within patterns, and because it just gives you extra cards, that's where the advantage happens. Tellarknight Signian is a light attribute level 4 warrior type effect monster with 1500 attack and 1000 defense. This card is always treated as a Constellar card. If this card is summoned, you can add one Tellarknight or Constellar monster from your deck to your hand. You can target one other light monster you control, increase both its level and this card's by 1. This card can be treated as 2 materials for the Exceed summon of a Tellarknight Exceeds monster that requires 3 or more materials. You can only use each effect of Tellarknight Signian once per turn. This has the ability, as soon as it's summoned, be that normal, flip or special summoned, to search for a Tellarknight or Constellar monster from the deck straight to hand, so it's a Stratos type of ability. That can be quite devastating, as you can search for plenty of different options depending on your situation. This also has a level adjustment onto it. So if you've got 2 level 4 monsters, they can both become level 5 and therefore go into a rank 5 Exceeds play. They have a few of those and they're quite powerful. This is also able to treat itself as 2 materials for the Exceed summon of a Tellarknight Exceeds monster that needs 3 or more materials. So because it uses up one of the costs that would need as the resource, you're able to go into Deltaros or some of the other ones that typically need additional cards without having to invest too heavily into those monsters. This one has also gone from a 0-point cost to 6-point cost, so it's also just a slight adjustment. Tellarknight Constellar Deltaros is a light attribute rank 4 Exceeds monster, warrior type, 2500 attack and 2500 defense. Requires 3 or more level 4 monsters. Opponent cannot target rank 5 or higher Tellarknight or Constellar Exceeds monsters you control with card effects. Once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card, add 1 Tellarknight or Constellar monster from your deck to your hand. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon 1 light monster. If this card is sent to the graveyard, except from the field, you can special summon 1 Tellarknight or Constellar monster from your hand or banishment. This is an example of one of those Tellarknight monsters that happens to need 3 or more level 4 monsters to bring it out, so it would actually work with the previous one. It has a balanced attack and defense of 2500 each, but it also grants all of your higher rank Tellarknight and Constellar Exceeds monsters that are 5 or above the ability to be untargetable by card effects, so it gives a level of immunity. Just by detaching a material, you can instantly search for a Tellarknight or Constellar monster from your deck, so that adds to your deck's consistency, and then you're also then able to normal summon in addition another light attribute monster for the turn. That's providing significant advantage, and when this card has to be sent to the graveyard outside of the field, so technically I'm not necessarily understanding how it happens, you're able to just bring out a Tellarknight or Constellar monster from your hand or banishment, so even within that it has additional recovery. Point scores from this have gone from 0 to 10, so you could technically run 3 copies of this, but ideally you would be looking at maybe 2, given the sheer number of Constellar and Tellarknight archetype card supports already exist. Lev Shadow Fusion is a continuous spell card. When this card is activated, send 1 fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. You can attribute 1 fusion monster, special summon 1 Shadow Fusion monster with a different attribute from your extra deck. This is treated as a fusion summon, but its attack becomes 0. You can only use each effect of Lev Shadow Fusion once per turn. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck turn you activate either of this card's effects, except Shadow monsters. This is an upgrade of Shadow Fusion based cards, but it's a continuous spell card, so it can technically be added and used each during yours turn, every turn pretty much as consistency. When this is instantly activated, you can just send a fusion monster from the extra deck to the graveyard. That's fine because it can be used as part of their own in-archetype Miracle Fusion to bring out one of the specific Shadow Fusion monsters, so it can be just treated as a fusion material. That's fine. By attributing a fusion monster, you can then just choose another Shadow Fusion monster that has a different attribute from your extra deck, and it's still treated as a fusion summon. The only trade-off is that that monster's attack points become 0, but given a number of the Shadow monsters have high defense points or their own additional abilities, even if they were to be in defense position, they would still be able to activate those effects. So if you think of something like Winder, it still limits to the special summoning of 1 monster per turn, and that's a decent ability. There's another one that works, I think it's Construct, on as soon as a special summon monster happens to engage in battle with it, it just gets instantly destroyed, which can be quite devastating. It also says here that it's just tribute of any fusion monster, so you can actually splash this with a number of different decks. The point scores for this have gone from 0 to 10, and I can see why, because if you were to be able to use multiple of this within a deck, it would be extremely overwhelming. Void Unleashing is a normal spell card. Reveal 1 Shadow card in your hand. Add 2 Shadow cards from your deck to your hand, each with a different type, monster, spell or trap, from the revealed card and from each other. Then discard 1 card. Banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 Infernoid monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. You can only use each effect of Void Unleashing once per turn. This is pretty much a dedicated search spell card for your Shadow archetype. You do have to reveal a Shadow card in your hand, but it could be anything. It could be a monster, a spell, or a trap card. You then search for 2 Shadow cards, each with a different type, so you have to choose 1 which is a monster, 1 or a spell, or 1 as a trap from the revealed card. So if you revealed a monster, then you can only choose 1 spell and 1 trap. If you revealed a spell, you can choose a monster and a trap. Or if you reveal a trap card, you get to search for a monster and a spell. Depending on how your hand is will depend on the cards you can search for. It also requires a discard cost, but that isn't necessarily a problem. It's a net 0, but given that you can pretty much search for what you need, justifies it as being quite concerning. By banishing this card, you can then just search for an Infernoid monster either from the deck or graveyard straight to your hand, so it actually splashes between the Shadow and the Infernoid archetypes. This has been given a point cost from 0 to 10. Masked Hero Fountain is a water attribute level 4 warrior type effect monster with 1000 attack and 1400 defense. Reveal this card in your hand, special summon 1 hero monster from your hand in defense position. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, or to activate a card effect, set 1 mask change from your deck or graveyard. You can only use each effect of Masked Hero Fountain once per turn. This instantly allows itself to be revealed to just special summon a hero monster from the hand, so it can actually be itself or another hero monster. That's useful as it means you don't actually have to go into your normal summon, and the special summon is fine for you to get into various types of abilities. When this card has been sent to the graveyard by a card effect, or to activate a card effect, so it can be used as technically a cost, or through the effects of something like Mask Change, you can actually set a Mask Change from your deck or graveyard. So it's a dedicated searcher and makes the Masked Hero aspect of the hero archetype more consistent. The point score has gone from 0 to 6, so it's not considered too devastating, but enough to actually give it some cost. Junkmeister is an Earth attribute level 4 warrior type effect monster with 100 attack and 2300 defense. If this card is in your hand, you can reveal one warrior or Stardust synchro monster in your extra deck, special summon this card. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except synchro monsters. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add one junk card from your deck to your hand, except Junkmeister. You can target one junk monster you control, reduce its level by up to 2. You can only use each effect of a Junkmeister once per turn, provided this card is in the hand just by revealing a Warrior Stardust Synchro monster in the extra deck, which is an easy enough condition to meet. This card instantly gets special summoned, but you are limited to then using Synchro monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. Once it's been normal or special summoned, you instantly also get to search for any junk card from your deck to hand, so there are plenty of them, except another copy of itself. You're also able to level modulate your other junk monster so it can lose a couple of levels, which allows you to go into a variety of displays without having to run obscure level modulation types of abilities. This card is too powerful, and given you have plenty of synchro spam style of decks, is partly the reason it's been given a cost. The point adjustment for this has gone from 0 to 6. Overtuning is a normal spell card. If you control a tuner, special summon one tuner from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn after this card resolves, except synchro monsters. You can only activate one overtuning per turn. You can see on here that you've got a couple of cards on the image. First is, well, behind the Dart Resonator is the Trap Eater, and that's a level 4, whereas Dart Resonator's a level 3 tuner monsters. And so long as you have any tuner, you can instantly just special summon another tuner from various places, the hand, the deck, or graveyard, so you can actually go into multiple synchro monsters within a turn. Or if you need certain levels to meet certain synchro monsters, that then becomes a lot easier. The limitation on extra summons just for synchro monsters is again not a problem, given that's the whole design of this card, and this has been going from a point score of 0 to 10, which gives you an indication that they are very concerned about this. Black Chaos and the list of cards that are introduced now will be restrictions for the Light and Darkness ritual deck. Black Chaos being a Dark Attribute Spellcaster effect monster, it's a level 8 with 3000 attack and 2500 defense. It cannot be normal summoned or set, it must be special summoned from your hand by shuffling one Spellcaster or Warrior Ritual monster from your hand or graveyard into the deck. You can only special summon Black Chaos once per turn this way. To discard this card, place one continuous trap that mentions Light and Darkness ritual from your deck or graveyard face up on your field. While you have a ritual spell in your graveyard, this card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. Once per turn during your main phase, you can banish 2 cards your opponent controls. This has been given an instant cost of 20 points, so it's gone from obviously having 0, as this is the latest set, to 20. And the design on these restrictions are so it doesn't become too broken within the format. They don't want the advanced format and the Genesys format to copycat each other, and given that this is some of the latest support cards, it means it's amongst the most powerful types of decks that you can run. This summoning is not too difficult to do, as you will have Spellcaster or Warrior Ritual monsters that happen to be either in the hand or in the graveyard, and those go straight back to the deck. This is an instant special summon, and it's a pretty easy one to get out. Just by discarding this card, you get to place one continuous trap that mentions Light and Darkness Ritual, and I think that's the Mind Shuffle from your deck or graveyard face up onto the field, so it can instantly be activated when you need to. And so long as you have a ritual spell card, which the Light and Darkness Ritual is, this is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. So unless it's a continuous effect which has been on the field prior to this card being summoned, that is the only way you're really going to get rid of this. Either that, or you're going to have to get rid of the ritual spell initially from the graveyard before you can then target this card. Each of your turns you can just straight away banish 2 cards your controls, so there can be spell, traps, monsters, or any combination of the 3. And this is going to be something that is going to very quickly, and I'm not saying slowly over time, this is instant, put you into a card advantage over the opponent. Griffo is a Dark Attribute Fiend type effect monster, level 1 with 300 attack and 200 defense. As a quick effect, you can discard this card, then activate one of these effects. The next battle or effect damage you take this turn will become 0, or set one quick play spell or trap that mentions Light and Darkness Ritual from your deck. It can be activated this turn. You can only use this effect of Griffo once per turn. If you ritual summon exactly one level 8 ritual monster with a card effect that requires use of monsters, this card can be used as the entire tribute. So with the first part of the ability, you zero out your next level of damage, be that from battle or effects. Your opponent isn't likely to use their strongest monster to inflict the battle damage. They'll most likely go into their weakest monster and then progress from there. So because you have no control of how the damage is applied, your opponent is going to have to do that first. The second effect just lets you set either a quick play spell or trap that mentions Light and Darkness Ritual from the deck, and since it can be activated during the turn, it doesn't have the typical disadvantages that are associated with quick play spells and traps, where they have to be activated after your first turn. The last part of the effect, the entire tribute for the ritual summon of exactly one level 8 ritual monster, and that's decent as it eats up the cost without you having to go into additional resources. This has been given a point score of 10, which means it isn't deemed as the biggest concern for the deck. Celtic Mystic is a light attribute warrior type effect monster, level 4 with 1400 attack and 2000 defense. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can reveal your entire hand, and if you revealed a card that mentions Light and Darkness Ritual, you can draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards. Also, for the rest of this turn, you can only special summon once from the extra deck. You can tribute this card, special summon 1 ritual monster that mentions Light and Darkness Ritual from your hand. You can only use each effect of Celtic Mystic once per turn. This has been given a point cost of 20, so it is significant enough that they don't really want you to be running more than a couple of these at maximum. Once this card has been either normal or special summoned, you can then just choose to reveal your entire hand. That's a bit of a disadvantage given that your opponent will know what you have, but you instantly then get to draw 3 cards and discard 2 cards. Ideally, that means you're resetting your hand so your opponent doesn't actually know the fresh cards you've got. And even if you choose to keep one of, for example, the revealed cards that you had, you can still get rid of something and confuse your opponent. It's a graceful charity type of ability that's been introduced within this, but it also gives you a bit of restriction attached, as you can only special summon once from the extra deck. Not a problem for this deck, given it is designed around ritual summoning rather than focus on the extra deck. It's mainly focusing on the hand and the deck. Just by tributing this card, you can instantly ritual summon a ritual monster that mentions Light and Darkness Ritual from your hand, so you aren't actually dependent on the ritual spell. Light and Darkness Ritual is a normal spell card. Well, it's a ritual spell card. This card can be used to ritual summon Magician, Dark Chaos, Black Chaos, or Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Light and Darkness. You must also tribute monsters from your hand or field and or banish monsters from your graveyard whose total levels equal or exceed its level. If this card is in your graveyard, you can add this card and 1 card that mentions Light and Darkness Ritual from your graveyard to your hand. You can only use this effect of Light and Darkness Ritual once per turn. Given that this is the main ritual spell card used for the deck, justifiable of why it only got a point score of 5. Likely you're not going to want to run more than 1 to 2 copies, as it has its own revival ability, because as soon as this card is in the graveyard, you can just instantly add it back, and a card that mentions Light and Darkness Ritual from the graveyard to the hand, so it does have that instant recursion. It's not worth running more than 2, and given the point scores of everything else, it just wouldn't work well with it. The conditions for summoning your ritual monsters are actually also quite decent, as the resources for the monsters levels can be taken from the hand, the field, and the banishment. So any combination of 3, reducing the resources typically associated with ritual monsters and their summoning. Mind Shuffle is a continuous trap card. Its effect is, during either player's turn, you can add 1 monster that mentions Light and Darkness Ritual from your deck to your hand, then discard 1 card. You can only use this effect of Mind Shuffle once per turn. When your opponent activates a card or effect, you can return 1 level 7 or higher monster you control to the hand. Special summon 1 monster that mentions Light and Darkness Ritual from your hand with a different name than the return monster, ignoring its summoning conditions. You cannot activate these effects of Mind Shuffle in the same chain. This has the highest point score of all the Light and Darkness Ritual based support. It's got instantly 40, which tells you Konami doesn't want you to run more than 1. It's that powerful and it's considered that concerning. First ability just allows you to add a monster that mentions Light and Darkness Ritual from the deck to hand, so that adds to consistency. You do have to discard a card, but it's just a 1-for-1 trade-off. The other abilities, as soon as your opponent tries to activate a card or effect, you can choose to return a level 7 or higher monster you control to the hand. So if it's a target for an effect, you can dissolve the effect and dodge the effect, and then you get to just exchange that for another monster that mentions Light and Darkness Ritual from the hand. Its summoning conditions are ignored, so it can actually be used perfectly fine. Only downside of this is it cannot activate the effects in the same chain, so use one effect, and if your opponent then tries to use the ability, like something like Mystical Space Typhoon, to get rid of something like this, you're not able to respond with the other ability to maximize from its effects. The next set of cards we're going to discuss are ones which apply to the Invoked and the Phantom Knights cards. This Alistair the Reminiscent has been given a 4-point cost, which I think is fine. It's not a big one, but it's enough to prevent you from running too many cards within the Invoked archetype. It's a Dark Attribute Spellcaster type effect monster, level 4 with 1800 attack and 1000 defense. If this card is in your hand, you can target one Spellcaster or Fusion monster on the field, special summon this card, and if you do, that monster gains 1000 attack until the end of this turn. If this card is normal or special summoned or flipped face up, you can banish one invoked monster from your extra deck, add a one invocation or one spell that mentions it from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of Alistair the Reminiscent once per turn. As soon as this card is in the hand, you're able to special summon this card and boost either your spellcaster or fusion monster by 1000 attack points, so you can actually make another Alistair either a 2000 attack monster or one of the fusion invoked monsters gain that 1000 points, which can be enough to get over a lot of your opponent's monsters, even those that are 3000 or above in attack. When this has been normal or special summoned or flip face up, just by banishing an invoked monster from your extra deck, you can instantly bring out a invocation or a spell that mentions it from the deck to your hand, so it's not actually that big of a cost for you, as you'll probably be running more than one of the invoked monsters, and the invocation or cards that feature it are necessary for the deck, as that's the whole way and design you are going to get your most powerful monsters out. Iwis, the Spirit of the Law, is a wind attribute, fiend type, level 8 with 2000 attack and 2800 defense. You can banish this card from the hand or field, add one Alistair monster from your deck to your hand, then if this effect was activated on the field, immediately after it resolves, you can normal summon that one spellcaster monster. If a face-up fusion monster you control is just sent to the graveyard, except by battle, while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card, then you can fusion summon one invoked monster, using monsters from your hand or field as material. You can only use each effect of Iwis, the Spirit of the Law, once per turn. This has been given a point cost of 2, so it's deemed as probably the least significant card within the new support for the invoked archetype. Just by banishing this card, whether that be from the hand or the field, you get to instantly search for an Alistair monster from the deck that goes straight to the hand. You get the bonus of, if this happened to be banished from the field, then being able to normal summon a spellcaster monster, which Alistair is, and within that summoning, it can then search for an invocation, so you can actually go into an instant fusion play. Provided a face-up fusion monster is sent to the graveyard outside of battle, and this card resides in the graveyard, you're able to instantly special summon this card, and then go into a fusion summon of an invoked monster. It has to be monsters specifically either from your hand or field as material. It can't be a combination of both, so you can be a little bit more limited, but it does give you an opportunity to go into an instant fusion without having to have the invocation spell card. vidIQ, the Artificial Spirit, is a light attribute illusion type, level 3 with 1000 attack and 1000 defense. If you have an Alistair monster in your field or graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summoned, you can set one invocation or one spell that mentions it from your deck when your opponent activates a card or effect in response to the activation of your fusion monster's effect. As a quick effect, you can banish this card from the field, and if you do, negate that opponent's effect. And if you do that, banish that card. You can only use each effect of vidIQ, the Artificial Spirit, once per turn. So long as you've got an Alistair monster either on the field or the graveyard, this card gets to instantly be special summoned from the hand, and when you special summon this, you then get to set an invocation or an invocation style of card, so you can go instantly into your fusions, and it doesn't eat into your normal summoning as it's an instant special summon. As soon as the opponent tries to activate a card or effect in response to the activation of a fusion monster's effect, so it can be any of your fusion monsters, you can just banish this card from the field and negate that opponent's effect and banish that card. So it does provide you with a level of protection for your invoked fusion monsters, but it's only when your fusion monsters try to activate an effect, not at any other stage of your turn. It's only been given a point cost of 2, which also indicates it's not seen as that big of a problem. Hyper Invoked in Aeon is a Dart attribute, Fiend type level 10 with 3,800 attack and 3,200 defense. It requires 2 or more fusion monsters with different attributes. If this card is fusion summoned, you can banish cards from the field and or graveyards up to the number of monsters used as material. Then if you've used 3 or more materials, you can look at your opponent's extra deck and banish up to 3 cards from it. As a quick effect, you can declare 1 attribute. All other monsters on the field become that attribute until the end of this turn. You can only use 1 Hyper Invoked Aeon once per turn and only once that turn. This card is extremely powerful and has been given a points restriction of 15. Of all the invoked cards, it's the only one to be given such a significant point cost, and it's pretty much one of the main boss monsters for the invoked archetype. There's a couple of others that are similar in strength, but I think this is just kind of the newest boss monster for the deck. 3,800 points is no joke for an attack monster. It's level 10, is designed to be almighty. It does require 2 more fusion monsters with different attributes, so the conditions on it can be a little bit tricky, but for the invoked they use so many fusion monsters and they have at least 1 of each attribute that it's not a problem for them. When this card has been fusion summoned, you instantly get to banish cards from the field and all graveyards, equivalent to the number of monsters used as material. So instantly you can wipe out at least 2 cards, potentially 3. You get an additional effect if you happen to have used 3 or more materials by being able to look at the opponent's extra deck and banishing up to 3 cards from it. Anything that does extra deck destruction tends to be extremely powerful and quite difficult to mitigate. If you think of cards such as Dog Massacre as an archetype, it's very powerful. And the last part of the effect is probably the least relevant to it. It is able to adjust the attributes of all monsters on the field, but that works very well with the invoked archetype, given you want to have a variety of attributes to be able to go into the other invoked cards, as they all require a dedicated attribute to work with the fusion. The Phantom Knights of Decayed Cloak is a Dart attribute warrior type level 3 with 1,000 attack and 300 defense. If this card is in your hand, you reveal 1 other the Phantom Knights card in your hand. Special summon this card. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add 1 the Phantom Knights monster from your deck to your hand. Banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 Xyz monster you control. This turn you can use that face-up Xyz monster as material for an Xyz summon, using its rank as if it were a level. You can only use each effect of the Phantom Knights of Decayed Cloak once per turn. This card has been given a point score of 4. It's not a significant boost, but it's enough so you will contest running more than maybe a couple of copies of this card. As soon as it's in your hand, just by revealing the Phantom Knights card, you're able to instantly special summon this so it doesn't eat into your normal summon. When it has been normal or special summoned, you can then search for any of the Phantom Knights monsters from your deck to your hand, so it's a very consistent card for the deck. And just by banishing this from the graveyard and choosing an Xyz monster you control, this turn you're able to also use that Xyz monster as material for an Xyz summon, using the rank and treating it as a level. So it can really either go into another rank 3 monster or a rank 4 Xyz monster and then rank it up using their rank up dedicated magic cards. The Phantom Knights of Doomed Soloret is a Dart attribute warrior type level 3 with 400 attack and 1,400 defense. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon the Phantom Knights of Doomed Soloret once per turn this way. You can only use each of the following effects of the Phantom Knights of Doomed Soloret once per turn. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can set 1 of the Phantom Knights spell trap card from your deck. Banish this card from your graveyard, then target up to 2 level or rank 3 Dart monsters you control. Increase their levels or ranks by 1. This has been given a point cost of 5, so it's slightly more powerful deeming than the previous. Provided you have no monsters, you can straight away special summon this card from your hand. Phantom Knights either work by having trap cards or by having their monster cards, which have probably been used for other abilities. And this special summon can only be done once per turn this way, so it does give you a hard restriction. Once this card has been normal special summoned, you can just instantly special set the Phantom Knight spell trap card from your deck, so it's an instant search. And even though those cards can't be activated technically within the turn if it's a trap card, they're useful for just searching out what you need. By banishing this, you are able to adjust the levels of rank 3 dark monsters or level monsters so that they become either rank 4 or level 4. It helps you to go into rank 4 Xyz plays or rank 5 with their rank up magic cards. The Phantom Knights of Malevolent Scythe are a dark attribute warrior type rank 3 Xyz monster with 1900 attack and 0 defense. It requires 2 level 3 dark monsters. You can detach 1 material from this card, special summon the Phantom Knights monster from your deck. If you Xyz summon an Xyz dragon monster while this card is in your monster zone, except during the damage step, you can add 1 rank up magic spell from your deck to your hand. If this card is destroyed, you can add 1 of your banished the Phantom Knights cards to your hand, except Xyz monsters. You can only use each effect of the Phantom Knights of Malevolent Scythe once per turn. This is a brand new rank 3 Xyz monster for the deck. Just by detaching a material, you can instantly special summon the Phantom Knights monster from your deck. It can be any of them. And if you Xyz summon using an Xyz dragon monster, and this monster happens to be in your monster zone, you can instantly search for a rank up magic spell from your deck to your hand. You don't have to run any other search cards. When this card has been destroyed, you're able to instantly add a banished the Phantom Knights card to your hand, except Xyz monsters. So, for example, there are a few of the trap cards which have a double ability, ones that activate actually when they're on the field, and also a secondary ability that activates by banishing it from the graveyard to banish pile. That allows you some level of recovery. The points cost attached to this is 12. So they are considered out of all the Phantom Knights cards to be the most concerning in use and overplaying. The Phantom Knights Rank Up Magic Requiem is a normal spell card. Target 1 of the Phantom Knights or Xyz Dragon monster in your graveyard or banishment, special summon it but negate its effects, then apply the following effect. Choose 1 dark Xyz monster you control and special summon it from your extra deck. 1 the Phantom Knights or Xyz Dragon Xyz monster that is 1 rank higher than that monster by using it as material. This is treated as an Xyz summon, transfer its materials. You can only activate 1 the Phantom Knights Rank Up Magic Requiem per turn. This has been given a point cost of 1, and given you have other rank up magic cards which are quick plays that can be activated during yours or your opponent's turn, this is not considered that big of a threat. The effect just allows you to choose a Phantom Knight or Xyz Dragon monster in the graveyard or banishment. It gets special summoned, its ability gets straight away negated, and then you can rank it up to go into a rank 1 higher or monster, so it's not going to do much of anything. Summoner of the Sacred Beasts is a light attribute Thunder type level 8 with 2300 attack and 3000 defense. You can reveal this card in your hand, discard 1 card, and if you do, special summon 1 of the Sacred Beast monster from your hand in defense position, except a level 8 monster. You can discard 1 card, special summon 1 Sacred Beast monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position, except a level 8 monster or the discarded card. You can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon 1 Sacred Beast monster from your graveyard in defense position, except a level 8 monster. You can only use each effect of Summoner of the Sacred Beasts once per turn. This has been given a point cost of 5, which of all the Sacred Beast support cards is the highest. It's not seen as that big of a strategy at the moment. I think there's only 4 cards that have been given a points cost, and it's just so that they can't do anything too effective to kind of be splashed into multiple decks. This has different stages to its abilities, but emphasises on trying to bring out all 3 of the Sacred Beast monsters pretty much within the same turn if possible. First ability, just by discarding this card, you can instantly special summon a Sacred Beast monster from the hand in defense position, except itself because it's a level 8 monster, or you can choose to discard a card to special summon a Sacred Beast monster from the hand or graveyard in defense position. So you can technically get both abilities off at the same time. And if you happen to, for example, send this card to the graveyard just by banishing this, you can then go into another Sacred Beast monster from your graveyard in defense position. It does require a bit of a setup to get all three of the effects off. You can technically get it over a couple of turns, but maybe it's the most ideal if you get those monsters straight to the field on the same turn. Martyr of the Sacred Beast is a Dark Attribute Fiend type level 1 with 0 attack and 0 defense. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can place one Sacred Beast field spell or one Sacred Beast continuous spell or trap card from your deck face up on your field. If you control another Sacred Beast monster, you can special summon to Martyr of the Sacred Beast from your hand, deck, and or graveyard. During your opponent's end phase, if you have this card and a level 10 Sacred Beast monster in your graveyard, you can add this card to your hand. You can only use each effect of Martyr of the Sacred Beast once per turn. The first part of the effect allows you to just when it's normal or special summoned, lets you search for a Sacred Beast field spell or a Sacred Beast continuous spell or trap from your deck, and it gets put straight onto the field so it can be activated during the turn. The points limitations on this is just be given 2 points, so it's not really going to do anything. And provided you have another Sacred Beast monster, you can also special summon 2 additional Martyr of the Sacred Beast from the hand, deck, and or graveyard. It can be used for the tribute summoning to bring out one of your Sacred Beast monsters. During the opponent's end phase, provide this card and you have a level 10 Sacred Beast monster in your graveyard. This just gets recovered back to the hand. It's just for some recursion. It's still limited by its own abilities as each of the effects can only be used once in the turn. Sacred Beast Thunderclap is a continuous spell card. The effect is during your main phase, you can place 2 Sacred Beast Thunderclap from your hand, deck, and or graveyard face up on your field. Then you can reveal one level 10 Sacred Beast monster in your hand and place one Fallen Paradise of the Sacred Beast from your deck face up in your field zone. During your opponent's end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can add this card to your hand. You can only use each effect of Sacred Beast Thunderclap once per turn. This has been given a point cost of 2, so by running all 3, which you pretty much are encouraged to do, that's just 6 points. It's not that limiting. There is plenty you can do with the remaining 94 points, traditionally within the Genesys format. This allows you to just bring out 2 additional copies from the hand, the deck, and or graveyard, so it helps you to thin your deck and to get the necessary requirements to bring out your Sacred Beast monsters. You are then able to reveal a level 10 Sacred Beast monster in your hand and choose the field spell card, which is the Fallen Paradise of the Sacred Beast. That gets put straight to your field zone face up, which has the ability to draw 2 cards each and every one of your turns and gives your Sacred Beast monsters a level of immunity. When it's your opponent's end phase and this card happens to be in the graveyard, you can just recover it back to the hand, so it has that recoverability. Abyss of the Sacred Beast is a continuous trap card. This card's effect is you can send 3 face-up Abyss of the Sacred Beast you control to the graveyard, including this card, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls, change it to face-down defense position. You can only use each of the following effects of Abyss of the Sacred Beast once per turn. During the main phase, you can place 2 Abyss of the Sacred Beast from your hand, deck, and or graveyard face up on your field. During your opponent's end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can place this card on the bottom of the deck. This is one thing I did notice is actually the 3 cards which are technically used for the Raphael, the Hamon, and the Uriah each have point costs attached to them, but none of them are that significant. The other 2 cards have a point cost of 2, whereas this has a point cost of 1. I think that's more so because since it's a trap card, it cannot be used and activated during your turn. It can only be done so during your opponent's turn, and so it's much slower than either the monster or the continuous spell card. Just by sending 3 copies of this control to the graveyard, you get to Book of Moon, one of your opponent's monsters, and that's decent as that can disrupt whatever your opponent's trying to go into. During the main phase, you're instantly able to search for 2 of these cards, and they get put into your hand from your hand, deck, and or graveyard face up on your field, which can help you to bring out your Sacred Beast monsters. And if this card happens to be in the graveyard, this gets put back to the bottom of the deck, which is another weakness of it. But given you'll be shuffling throughout your deck throughout the duel, you can recover this pretty simply. Also with the dedicated support, that can actually bring these cards out without having to run generic random cards. Surge Blitzclique is an Earth Attribute Thunder type level 4 with 1800 attack and 1200 defense. You can reveal this card in your hand, then target one monster on the field, destroy it, and if you do, special summon one Thunder monster from your hand. Also for the rest of this turn, you cannot special summon effect monsters except from the hand. If another card is destroyed by a card effect while this card is in the main monster zone, except during the damage step, you can add one blitzclique monster from your deck to your hand, except Surge Blitzclique. You can only use each effect of Surge Blitzclique once per turn. This has been given a point cost of 4, and actually of the 3 cards that have been introduced within blitzclicks, they really haven't had any points adjustments to them. It's surprising, as I think this was considered quite a strong rogue strategy, but they are quite limited and they're very defined in what they do. Just by revealing this card, you can instantly destroy a monster on the field. So you can choose one of your own or one of your opponent's cards, and then you can choose to special summon a thunder monster from your hand. Keep in mind, it doesn't have to be this card, it can just be any thunder monster. You are limited from special summoning effect monsters outside of those that are instantly special summoned from the hand. The blitzclique archetype will work by synergizing from special summoning from the hand, so this won't actually be to your disadvantage, provided another card has been destroyed by the card effect, which includes by this card's ability. While this card is in the monster zone, you can instantly search for any blitzclique monster, and that goes straight from the deck to your hand, so it's an inbuilt searcher for monsters. Crackle Blitzclique is an Earth Attribute Thunder type level 3 with 1500 attack and 900 defense. During your opponent's turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, as a quick effect, you can reveal this card in your hand, destroy that monster, and if you do, special summon one thunder monster from your hand. Also, for the rest of this turn, you cannot special summon effect monsters except from the hand. If another card is destroyed by card effect, while this card is in the monster zone except during the damage step, you can send one blitzclique spell or trap from your deck to the graveyard. You can only use each effect of Crackle Blitzclique once per turn. This has been given a points cost, I believe. Well, we'll just have a quick look. I think, yeah, it's just another 4, so it's the same as the Surge Blitzclique. This has the ability during the opponent's turn, when they activate a monster effect, to just reveal this card and destroy that monster, so your opponent is punished for using their abilities during their turn with any monsters, and you can straight away special summon a thunder monster from your hand, so any of those would work with this. You are limited from special summoning effect monsters except from the hand, but since the Blitzclique archetype will work designed this way, that's not a disadvantage to you. If another card is destroyed and this card happens to be in the monster zone, you can send a blitzclique spell trap card from your deck to the graveyard, so this is a foolish burial of goods type ability, and those effects will probably be able to either be recovered from the graveyard or they'll have banish based effects by banishing from the graveyard to the banish zone. It's not that powerful, but I can justify why it's been given 4 points. Hideout in the Sky Colome is a field spell card. Monsters you control that were normal special summoned from the hand gain 500 attack and defense. You can only use each of the following effects of Hideout in the Sky Colome once per turn. During a main phase, you can special summon one Mech Beast token, machine type Earth Attribute level 6, with 2000 attack and 2000 defense to your opponent's field, and if you do, add one blitzclique monster from your deck to your hand. If a card is destroyed by your blitzclique card's effect while this card is in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can add this card to your hand. This has been given a point score of 5, and that's no wonder, no surprise. Since it is the field spell that's dedicated to the archetype, the ability allows all of your monsters really just to gain an additional 500 attack and defense. Lots of field spells have this type of ability. They can range anywhere from about 300 to 500. On the rare occasion you can get one which is greater than that, but it tends to be more limited by other negative abilities. And during a main phase, you can instantly just special summon a Mech Beast token to your opponent's field. The reason for this is so that your opponent has a dedicated monster on their field. The blitzclicks work on having destroyed monsters on your opponent's field, so if your opponent chooses not to have monsters on their field, you can never trigger off the blitzclicks. It's a way of guaranteeing your plays. This also comes as a positive for you. You might be generating a decent monster for your opponent, but you do get to search for a blitzclique monster from your deck to your hand, and that will then set you up for what you need. Provided a card has been destroyed by your blitzclique's card effect, and this card happens to be in the graveyard, it also has the ability to recover itself. Elf Note June Pride is a light attribute spellcaster type level 10 with 3100 attack and 1800 defense. It requires a tuner plus one or more non-tuner spellcaster monsters. While this card is in the center main monster zone, neither player can declare attacks, except with monsters in their center main monster zones. During the main phase, if this card is in the center main monster zone, as a quick effect, you can return this card to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon up to one Elf Note monster each from your hand, deck, and the graveyard. You can only use this effect of Elf Note June Pride once per turn. The Elf Note archetype is one that's seen as quite a powerful strategy to go into. They have very strong limitations on what your opponent can do. Based on whatever monster you have in your main monster zone, that's how they like to lock your opponent out. It typically also has some aspect of locking yourself out. For example, here, neither player can declare attacks except with monsters in their center main monster zones. So if you have this card in that zone and your opponent has another card, it means that you're going to mostly get over your opponent's monsters, given this has 3,100 attack points. It also is able to swap itself back into the extra deck and let you special summon 3 Elf Note monsters, one from the hand, deck, and graveyard, so you can determine their effects and the ones you want to bring out. That is why this has been given quite a big boost in points. It's 25, so that you can't really be running more than 1 to 2 copies. Otherwise, you're going to be impacting the rest of how your deck operates. Etherealize Past Lull is a normal spell card. If you control an Archmage, Doom Z, or Elf Note monster, you can special summon one Medius the Pure from your hand or deck. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when that monster is special summoned. You banish this card from your graveyard, then target one Fusion, Synchro, or Exceed monster in your graveyard, special summon it to your zone and link monster points to. You can only use one Etherealize Past Lull effect per turn and only once that turn. This has been given a 5-point boost on it. That's fine because it's technically working with several archetypes, but it's not significantly powerful. It does prevent your opponent from activating cards or effects when the monster is special summoned, so it can be whichever you need, the Archmage, Doom Z, or Elf Note, and that's okay. It just gives you a bit of a Monster Reborn type. It gives you an instant search for Medius the Pure. By banishing this card, you can choose a Fusion, Synchro, or Exceed monster in the graveyard, and that's where you get a Monster Reborn type of ability. So each corresponds to the different archetypes. So Archmage are Fusion based, Doom Z are Exceed based, and Elf Notes are Synchro based. So it makes sense for you to then attach that to a link monster that your link zone that a link monster points to. It's perfectly fine, and it would make each of the decks synergize too well. Angelechy Gestria is a light attribute fairy type level 7 with 2,500 attack and 2,000 defense. It requires 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. You can target one monster in another column and banish it. If this card is placed in the spell and trap zone as a continuous spell, you can add 1 Angelechy spell from your deck to your hand. You can only use each of the preceding effects of Angelechy Gestria once per turn. While this card is treated as a continuous spell, each time your opponent activates a card or effect, inflict 500 damage to your opponent when it resolves. This has only been given a point score of 1, and that's so that it doesn't combine with the Beals, the Diabolic Dragon, as that has 100 points. So for a typical tournament needing a 100 as a limit, you can only run one or the other. You can't run both in the deck. The design on this is basically you to get Beals out and then you keep doing the burn damage. It just keeps boosting itself and it just loops too much damage onto the opponent. It makes it impossible to kind of respond to, and it's just not a good time. They always look at killing anything that operates these types of loops before they, and in this case, since they've seen this as a common thought process within the Yu-Gi-Oh community, they've decided outright to get rid of it before it can be poisonous to the new Genesys format. Angelechy as an archetype is really interesting because it's based on chess pieces, and the extra deck monsters as well as the trap cards and the field spell all help to make it difficult for your opponent to respond to. Since it's a generic type of archetype, not only can the monsters be cheated out, but since they're generic, they can actually be brought out by just having the relevant tuner and non-tuner monsters. They don't need to take into account the typing, attribute, or archetypal names, and each of them has a decent ability. For example, this one is instantly able to banish a monster from another column, and that can be used each and every one of your turns. It's not a when it's summoned type of ability. If this card happens to be in the spell and trap zone and it's this gets placed there, you can instantly search for an angelechy spell from your deck to your hand, so it is an instant search, and it acts as a way of deterring your opponent from doing too much, because every time your opponent activates a card or effect, it inflicts 500 points of damage to your opponent. So unless they're running a deck that can infinitely boost their life points, they are hard limited to how they respond to you. This is a effective countermeasure for anyone who's running link spam, exceed spam, or synchro spam decks. I also like that they've only given this a point score, as that will give people the chance to play angelechy's relatively pure. The last set of cards are looking at free agents, so these are just random cards that have been given point scores adjusted to them. Farah the Primordial Goddess is a dark attribute spellcaster level 8 with 2,800 attack and 2,800 defense. You reveal this card and one spell or trap card in your hand. Until the end of the next turn, neither player can activate cards or effects in response to the activation of cards or effects of cards with the revealed spell or trap card's name. If this card is sent from the field or hand to the graveyard by a spell or trap effect, you can special summon this card. If this card is special summoned from the graveyard, you can take control of one monster your opponent controls with the highest attack, your choice if tied. You can only use each effect of Farah the Primordial Goddess once per turn. This has been given a point cost of 20, and it's pretty much designed so that you're not hard locking your opponent out of specific spell traps, so that they can actually use them at least some of the time, as if typically players will kind of agree to certain spell and traps that are more impressive outside of their own ones. The more generic style of ones, Harpy Feather Duster, Red Reboot, anything like that, those are pretty much a given, Call by the Grave. And provided this has been sent from the hand or field to the graveyard by a spell or trap effect, this instant gets to be special summoned. Once it's been special summoned, you get to also take control of your opponent's highest attack monster, and it's your choice if tied, so you're able to take quite a lot of advantage just by having this one card, which is why it's been given a decent boost in cost. Glitch Clutch Nullgainer is a dark attribute psychic type level 8 with 2,000 defense and 0 attack points. It requires 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. If this card is synchro summoned, you can add 1 level 8 or higher monster with 0 attack from your deck to your hand. You can target 1 monster with 0 attack in your graveyard, special summon it but negate its effects. Also, it cannot be used as material for a fusion, synchro, exceed, or link summon. You can only use each effect of Glitch Clutch Nullgainer once per turn. I don't understand why this has been given points costs, because I can't think of any applications for it. It has only been given 10 points, so it's fine. The only deck I can consider where you've got a level 8 or higher monster with 0 attack is the Time Lords, and they already have so much support. I wouldn't even bother running this. They're not a synchro based archetype, it's an effect archetype. Secondary ability just allows you to revive a monster with 0 attack in your graveyard. Again, that's fine, but it negates its abilities, and they cannot be used for pretty much anything outside of either a ritual summon or a tribute summon. So it could technically be used with new Light and Darkness ritual support, or a deck that wants to use something to that extent. But I would need you to comment down below where the interactions with this card actually happen and why it's considered having any sort of points boost to start with. Pot of Sloth is a normal spell card. Draw cards equals the number of cards your opponent controls. Then, if you drew 2 or more cards, place cards from your hand on the bottom of the deck in any order equal to the number you drew minus 1. For the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you cannot activate Pot of Sloth. This has been given a points cost of 10, but it's really strange. I would think, given how powerful this is as a card, you would have wanted to have boosted that by far more than that. Even though you're drawing cards and it's determined on the number of cards your opponent has currently on their field, and can never draw more than a certain number of them, it still allows you to draw enough cards for you to determine what you want to keep, whilst the others go from the hand to the bottom of the deck. Not a problem for most decks, given they tend to search and special summon from the deck constantly, so those cards that happen to be on the bottom of the deck will constantly be shuffled, and you'll be able to draw into them more easily. Ragged Records of Rites is a normal spell card. Reveal one ritual spell from your hand or deck, and if you do, add one monster from your deck to your hand that mentions that spell's name. If a face-up ritual monster you control leaves the field by card effect while this card is in your graveyard, and you do not control any face-up monsters other than ritual monsters, except during the damage step, you can add this card from your graveyard to your hand. You can only use each effect of Ragged Record of Rites once per turn. This has been given a points cost of 10, so you can actually run multiple of it. The ability just allows you to reveal a ritual spell from either the hand or the deck, so it's actually quite devastating. Given most ritual spells, well, the old ones, you would not only need the specific monster, but you need the spell card in hand to activate it. This instantly lets you search for a monster from your deck to your hand that mentions that spell's name, so it's not one that works with generic ritual cards. Provided a ritual monster you control leaves the field by a card effect, and this card is residing in your graveyard, and you don't have any face-up monsters, it can also reoccur itself, so it's not worth running more than 1 to 2 copies. Superconductive Plasma Blast is a quick play spell card. Activate the following effects depending on whose turn it is. Yours, place one thunder or rock monster from your deck on top of your deck. And then if you have a thunder or rock monster in your graveyard or field, you can destroy one card on the field. During the opponent's turn, add one thunder or rock monster from your field, graveyard or banishment to your hand, or if a monster was destroyed by battle or card effect this turn, you can add one such monster from your deck instead. You can only activate one superconductive Plasma Blast per turn. This is designed for a couple of reasons. Plasma Blast is an attack move used by the linear conductor magnum, the archetype that Bastion Masawa was using, and these are upgrade cards which support the Magnet Warrior archetype, so that's the main design. It's also considering that the blitzclique archetypes within this set, and those are all thunder monsters. The effect will determine based on what you need, and it's only a 5-point costing on it, so you can run multiple of them. If it's during your turn, you can take a thunder or rock monster from your deck and put it to the top of your deck, so you can pretty much guarantee the draw of it during your next turn, and so long as you've got a rock or thunder monster in your field or graveyard, you can just destroy any card on the field. That can be yours or your opponent's. It can be a monster, a spell, or trap. It's very generic, and since it's quick play, it can be activated during your turn. If it's activated during your opponent's turn, you get to search for a thunder or rock monster from your field, graveyard, or banishment. It gets recovered back to your hand, or if a monster has to be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can then add a monster from your deck instead, so it provides you with more opportunity if you use the second part of that ability. It's just to add some consistency to those decks, but I think they have more than enough support. Maybe the blitzclicks need a little bit more support, and that's why this card has been introduced. Witness of the Ancient is a light attribute machine type level 8 with 0 attack and 3000 defense. If you have a synchro monster in your field or graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summoned, you can place up to 3 synchro monsters with different names from your extra deck and or graveyard in your spell and trap zone as face-up continuous spells, and special summon one arc token, machine light attack 0, defense 0 with a level equal to the number placed. Also for the rest of this turn, you cannot special summon from the extra deck except synchro monsters. You can only use each effect of Witness of the Ancient once per turn. This has been given a point cost of 33. That means there is some strategy that's out there. I do not know what it is, and if you know, put that in the comments section down below, but it must be significant enough that it's been restricted that heavily. I mean, really, if you're looking at other extract monsters that have points cost attached to them, you may only be able to run a couple of copies of additional cards, so it's not going to be able to be used that effectively. So long as you have a synchro monster in your field or graveyard, this card instantly gets special summoned from your hand, and there aren't any other requirements. It's pretty simple to get out there. You can then choose 3 synchro monsters with different names from the extract, and they get placed in your spell and trap zone as continuous spells. So I think this synergizes well with certain archetypes. Argo Stars, I think, is one of those that works well with that. And then you just bring out 3 tokens equivalent to the number placed, so that can be up to 3 tokens. Since this is a high level tuner monster, you can then assume go into some powerful synchro monsters. Even if you're looking at 2 other cards, it would technically allow you to go into something like a Baron de Fleur pretty simply. Thunder Crash Snarecrow is a light attribute Thunder type level 8 with 1600 attack and 2800 defense. Each time a non-Thunder monster is special summoned face up, while this card is in the monster zone, that monster cannot attack this turn, also destroy it during the end phase. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one face up card you control, destroy it, and if you do, add this card to your hand. You can only use this effect of Thunder Crash Snarecrow once per turn. This is quite decent and it has only 10 points attached to it. It's more of a defensive card as it has 2800 defense points. Provided a non-Thunder monster has been special summoned face up and this card is in the monster zone, that monster is unable to attack during the turn, so it really just becomes quite useless unless it's used for the summoning of something else. Even if you were to do that, it's still technically, unless it's a Thunder monster, going to be susceptible to this ability. To get rid of this, you would need to have a dedicated monster spell or trap to remove it from the field. And also it gets destroyed during the end phase, so it makes the monster they summon limited for only that turn. If this card happens to be in the graveyard, just by destroying a face-up card you control, this card gets revived back to the hand, and there are ways of bringing it out relatively quickly. I understand why this hasn't been brought out with any lower attack points, otherwise you would be able to use something like Shining Angel to let this be brought out, as that's the light attribute recruiter. Morslux Herriver is a light attribute winged beast level 8 with 3000 attack and 2100 defense. It requires 2 level 8 monsters. If a monster is sent to your opponent's graveyard except during a damage turn, you can target one of them, attach it to this card. You can only use this effect of Morslux Herriver once per turn. This card gains effects based on the number of materials attached to it. 2. It cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. 3. Your opponent cannot target cards in the graveyards with card effects. Or 4. You can attach 3 materials from this card, send 1 monster on the field to the graveyard. Summoning on this isn't too difficult, you just need 2 or more level 8 monsters. There are plenty of decks that actually work with this. For example, the Sarcophagus deck allows you to bring out these level 8 monsters each and every one of your turns, and that can be up to 4 of those monsters. If your opponent happens to be sending monsters to their graveyard, you're just able to take one of them and attach it to this card as a material. That will then boost up the number of materials to then use more of its abilities. The more of its abilities it can use, the more powerful it becomes and the more difficult it is to remove from the field. If it just has the 2 standard ones, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, so it has instant immunity when it's brought onto the field. If you've got 3, this prevents your opponent from targeting any cards in the graveyards with card effects, so they can't revive anything, they can't banish anything, they just cannot respond to the graveyard. It's a little bit like having Necro Valley up whilst you have a Gravekeeper monster on your field. And it's only applying to your opponent, so the limitation is only to them and not to yourself. The final part of the effect actually is where the materials can start to be used. By just getting rid of 3 materials, you can send a monster on the field to the graveyard, so it could be one of yours or your opponent's. And most likely, if your opponent doesn't have any sort of effect with their monster, then this is a good way of getting rid of those cards without causing yourself any problems. It's been given a 20-point cost, and I can understand why. You don't want too many of these cards to be eligible within an extra deck situation, as they can be summoned up pretty quickly. The 3 Brave Sorcerers is a light attribute spellcaster type level 8 with 2500 attack and 2500 defense. It requires a level 4 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. If this card is synchro summoned, you can add 1 level 4 or level 8 spellcaster monster whose attack equals its own defense from a deck or graveyard to your hand. You can target one face-up card on the field to negate its effects. Then if you have an Ecclesia monster or Fallen of Albaz in your graveyard, you can destroy this card. You can only use each effect of the 3 Brave Sword Souls once per turn. Attack and defense on this card is the same, so it's easy enough to bring out. It does need specifically a level 4 tuner, but the levels of the non-tuner monsters will then obviously need to be either 3 and 1 or 2 level 2 monsters. When this has been synchro summoned, you can search for a level 4 or level 8 spellcaster monster. Their attack and defense have to be the same, so there are limitations to it, and they can be brought from either the deck or graveyard to your hand. You can also choose a face-up card on the field, and its abilities do get negated, and they get an advantage of also being destroyed if you happen to have an Ecclesia or Fallen of a Vaz already in your graveyard. This has been given a 10-point cost to it, but I think other Sword Soul cards already have limitations, so you are likely to be running only 1 to 2 copies. Overall, I think a lot of the support that has been made available for this at the moment is actually quite decent. I think, yeah, over the time, we'll have to see as Genesys evolves how these cards will interact and whether there'll be any additional points variations on this as the game state evolves. I'd love to know what you think of this in the comment section down below. Are you happy to see that the Light and Darkness deck has been reduced in power, or were you looking forward to playing that deck? What do you think of the other limitations? Do you think it's fair that they actually got reasonably limited restrictions to them? Would you like to see further restrictions as well to balance the game? Put those in the comment section down below. I would really like you guys to do me a small favour. Currently at the moment I am running a donations based campaign, and this is so that I can get my level 3 professional cookery qualification. Normally these take anywhere between usually half a year to a full year. However, I've managed to find one that promises to kind of fast track. It's got a good reputation behind it. It has about 30 years. It's been around since 1992, so it's now 34 years coming up for. And it can get a level 3 qualification in cookery and professional skills completed within 10 weeks. However, the cost of it is about £15,000. That's about £3,000 in accommodation, which I'd have to take up because I'm not from that area. It's near enough the Exeter area. It's called Ashburton College, and it specialises in food production. There are 2 courses. There's the main one, which is in the just generally cooking, and then you've got the other one, which is patisserie, if you want to specialise as a patisserie chef. Now, my emphasis is on the general cookery and to develop within categories as much as possible. They do have the option for the smaller course, which is the 4 weeks, but that will give you a certificate and not a diploma, so it won't give you the same level of robust training. And now, I would be grateful for absolutely any donations you can provide, any support you can provide. That'd be great, even if you can just share that information to other people. It's all about trying to help support people in their health journey. I am, of course, investing in myself and my own development by doing a few things. First thing I'm doing is actually I'm taking a full-on nutrition course, and that is with an association for the AFN, which is the Association for Nutritionists. It's not a full-on degree, but you can get up to a level 5 qualification, which is recognised by the body. And so I would only need to kind of top up the year to be able to then develop into a nutritionist. I'm also invested into a fitness personal training type of course, which is more practically based as well. And that is very much about dealing with the practical fitness side of the industry to get you into a wellness space. So I am doing a lot of my own stuff to get myself more effectively trained. And I believe that with the additional bit of support, which again, I just don't have the funding for, COVID and since has not been great for me. I've not been able to make that much of an income, and also my skill set doesn't seem to be recognised. Any support is great. I will put the link in both the comment section down below as well as in the bio description on my channel and the general video descriptions I have running at the moment. I am actually looking at additional forms of training outside of this. I have something currently running, which is the level 1 nutrition course, which I'm doing with South Belford College. I am progressing hopefully onto level 2. I'm just having to wait for my results to come back. I've also got a higher education, one of those conversion courses, because I never actually took biology or chemistry, so the conversion course would hopefully be able to kind of fast track me within that, given that I have other qualifications. I'm also applying for these degree apprenticeships, which are going on. They advertise now, but you don't start them until September, so I'm trying to gear myself towards that. Everything is trying to support other people's development and within their ability to gain health. Get them away from all these weight loss drugs where you just don't know the end result and the side effects outside of you're going to lose the weight, but it might not necessarily be the healthiest way to do it. Better to be supported. I do have about 10 years food industry experience. But I feel that if I gain the qualifications and the understanding and reasoning behind different nutrition facts and different categories within the product ranges, I'm not one who feels that you have to limit themselves. If you try and limit your vices too much, you end up just going obsessive. Look at people at Christmas, they fall into place with all this marketing. Oh, I must have every one of every dessert. No, you don't. If you don't like mince pies, don't have mince pies. If you don't like the specialty desserts, just don't go for them that year. Just go for your standard fare. Something safe. Something you're going to like. And that's what I did this year. It's just pretty much like a specialty dessert, mince pies, one lot, and one Christmas cake as well, I believe. And I'm more than happy with that. And based on where I am, it's quite a impoverished area, and I feel that I can actually do a lot to help support the development of the area if given the opportunity to do so. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to any support you can provide. Thank you.